All right. I wanted to show you some ways that you could um, go ahead and improve some of the posts that you have already made. So one of the things that I wanted to point out to you is that whenever you go to the directions is to read through really carefully. So let's look here at discussion board that was based on chapter 9. And Hannah Irvin has given me permission to use her entry as a quality example. Okay, so this is what what the directions look like. So it said chapter 9 discussion board goal, complete at least one discussion board in this module. So we'll take a look at that in a moment, just to make sure you understand what that means. But let's look at the directions for this discussion board. So it says, choose to complete at least one discussion board for this module. To exceed expectations, complete both discussion boards. To meet grade level expectations, complete one discussion board in this module. There's one discussion board for chapter 8 and one for chapter 9. So in that module, address both chapters 8 and 9. You could have just done chapter 8, you could have done just chapter 9, or you could have done both. When you complete the discussion board, aim to write your answer in paragraph form. So that means a paragraph, that means probably at least 5 sentences, right? So that's one area that many of you could improve upon, because some of you wrote only one sentence, or you even wrote just kind of a phrase, or some of you even wrote just a few words. And so let's make sure that you're actually writing in paragraph form. It says many questions are given to help you expand your writing. That means you do not have to answer every single question that I provide below, but those questions are there so that if you're feeling kind of stuck as to what to write, they're there to help guide you. After posting your own answer, take time to reply to at least 3 peers' postings. Try to check back on this discussion board. Don't just participate on one day and then never check it again. It's fun to go back and see what other people have posted. When replying, aim to write at least 3 sentences. Try to avoid short phrases like I agree or me too. Expand your answers. It makes our discussions more interesting. So what I saw some of you doing was that you would write an answer, but then you would not take any time to reply to your peers' postings. And then when you did take time to reply, sometimes it was just short little phrases. It would say, good job, or something like that. But what we're looking for is at least 3 sentences for at least 3 peers. And then we're also hoping that you're going to participate on at least more than one date. So it kind of shows you're returning to a discussion board, and it creates more of an actual discussion. So for chapter 9 discussion board, these were the questions that I threw out there. It says, here's the discussion questions for this discussion board. And it reminds you again, write a paragraph when you post your answer, and then write at least 3 sentences for each reply. That means when you reply to your peers, you're writing at least 3 sentences. So the questions are, before Corey and her family were caught, there were other events that led the reader to think it might be the time they get caught, but then it wasn't. What were some of the times that you thought they were going to be caught? What do you think it would be like to live like that, knowing that any day it could all end and you could be arrested? Why did Corey and her family continue to help Jews even though they knew that it was just a matter of time before they are caught? By the way, what occurred that led them to believe they would be caught? What would you do in this situation? Do you think they made the right decision? Explain why. And then it reminds you, here's your goal. Write your answers as one paragraph. Think about what your topic sentence is going to be. How can you conclude your paragraph to give readers a sense of closure? Because that's what a real paragraph is. A real paragraph isn't just a group of sentences that aren't connected. They're all connected around one main idea, and they have an introduction and they have a conclusion. So let's take a look at someone's at someone's response and just get an idea of that. I'm trying to find. Here we go. Okay, so here is Hannah's response. So first of all, when you just take a look at just this right here, you'll see that it is very clear that that she's written a paragraph. I mean, that's my first assumption, because I see many sentences there. I can just kind of look at it right away. I can see that she's using correct conventions, that she's got capitals, that she has commas, and she has periods, and by even just looking at it, it just looks like a well-organized paragraph. So that's my first impression. Now let's read and let's see what it says. There were many times I thought the Ten Booms were going to be caught. When the window washer peeked over their curtain, when Otto came barging in, when Corey was summoned by the police chief. I think it would be super stressful to live like they were. I would never be able to relax, enjoy meals, sleep well, etc. I think when they saw the window washer peeking in while they were all sitting at the table and had to pretend they were having a birthday party, Corey realized that getting caught was inevitable. However, they continued to hide the Jews and leave the underground because they knew it was the right thing to do. Corey states, "We knew that in spite of daily mounting risks, we had no choice but to move forward. This was evil's hour. We could not run away from it. Perhaps only when human effort had done its best and failed would God's power alone be free to work. The Ten Booms believed they were doing what God called them to do, so I think they did the right thing. I'd like to think I'd do the same thing, but truthfully, I'd probably be too scared." Okay, that is an amazing paragraph. Bravo, Hannah. Wow. Okay, there she's got a great introduction. Her conclusion is powerful. I love how she referred to the text within her paragraph. She actually quoted it. And that text evidence really supports the points that she's trying to make. I think she pretty much addressed every single question that I posed. But even if she wouldn't have, that would have been okay. But I'm guessing that looking at those questions, that probably helped her meet the goals. That probably helped her create her paragraph. Now, you can see she wrote that on May 7th at 7:25 in the evening. And then these are replies that she gave. Now, this is a different view than what you guys are used to having. So when I go through and look at your work, I'm only looking at Hannah's work for this. So when you saw, if you went on to the discussion board, you would see other people's postings. You would see what she was replying to when she did these replies. But I'm just seeing just her work for this. So you can see that she replied to one person on May 7th, another person on May 7th, and then the next day she came back and she responded to somebody else on the 8th. So she did reply to 3 people. I can also see just right away by looking that she did the 3-sentence minimum for those replies, and that she also participated on the 2 dates. So you can see why Hannah earned a 5 out of 5 points. So when I score your work, I'm looking at a rubric. So let me see if I can expand this view here so that you can see the rubric. It's not wanting to cooperate. Come on. I'm able to kind of push this out. Here it goes. Okay. So you can see that for answered questions that she could earn 2 points, 1 point, or 0 points. Well, she definitely earned 2 points because it says wrote a paragraph using correct conventions that address the questions posed. Okay. So she's staying on topic. And again, it's okay if you don't address all the questions, but you're not just writing any random paragraph. You're paying attention to the questions that were posed. So she got the full 2 points there. Then replies. Replied to at least 3 peers. Each reply had at least 3 sentences. Yep, she got full points there. And participation. Participated on 2 or more dates. She definitely got a full point there. So that's how she earned her 5 points. So when you're looking at this week, going back and looking at the work that you already did, I want you to be really carefully looking at those directions that are given and saying, okay, did I follow the directions? Did I write a complete paragraph? Did I reply to as many people as it says? Did I include the number of sentences that it tells me to give? Did I spread my participation out over 2 weeks? Feel free to go back and do work, even if it's technically late. That's okay. Go back and make some improvements. I'm going to be able to see that you added some more posts. So you're not going back to your post and editing. What I'd really like you to do is I'd like you to create a brand new post to do that. Now, let's go back to here and let's look at modules, because I said earlier I would make sure that you understand. So like that module there, that was the chapter 8 and 9 module. So it says module 5, chapters 8 and 9. So for those discussion boards, it says chapter 8 discussion board goal, complete at least 1 discussion board in this module. And then it says the same thing for 9. So you get to do that for either chapter 8 or chapter 9, or you certainly could do both. And so first of all, the first thing that I would challenge you to do is I would challenge you to go back to each module, and I would challenge you to check the discussion boards you did participate in and check and see, did you follow those directions? And is there something you could do? Could you make a new posting, or could you do some replies that are showing more quality, more conversation, more actual thought? When you write things like good job or I agree, it isn't really clear that you really read and really understood what that person wrote. It's kind of like in class, if you just said, I agree. Like typically you would out loud, you would say things like, I agree. I've had that happen to me too. And the reason I agree is, and you would expand on that. And that's what a quality discussion is, right? People don't just give little 1 or 2 word answers. And so that's what we're trying to do here on the discussion board. So that's part of your learning. No worries if you're feeling like, oh my goodness, I really did not hit the mark there. Go back, make some improvements this week on your discussion board prompts. I sent an invitation to your parents, by the way, about a movie that of The Hiding Place that I'm going to be showing on Thursday. And it's going to start at 6:30. I'll be sending a Zoom invitation out. And it is something you should talk with your parents about. Tell them to check last week's email and to have a discussion with you about whether or not it makes sense for you to join us in that movie on Thursday night. And so we're going to watch the movie together. It is a pretty serious movie because, as you found out from this book, it's a serious book, but it deals with a real historical time and a real person who is telling their story of what they experienced. But I also think that it's a very inspirational movie, just as the book was inspirational. It's a great testament of faith. And also the really exciting thing with the movie is that at the very end of the movie, we actually get to meet the real Corrie ten Boom, who at that time was in her 80s. So this movie was made back in the early 1970s, but it does a really nice job portraying, and I think it will help bring the book alive to you. And it's always interesting to see how movie directors, how much they match the book and how much they are different from the book. So anyway, I'm really looking forward to seeing how you go back and look at your work on the discussion boards and how you go ahead and just working on improving that. All right. I'll see you online. Bye-bye.